Now, as far as like what happens to your crypto, I mean, look, you got this conference coming up in a month. Let's say someone approaches you after the Bitcoin conference in April and they said, "Give me your Bitcoin." And you know what you tell them? You tell them, "I went to the Bitcoin conference in Miami down, you know, in the month of March, or excuse me, in the month of April 2022, and I was partying with Michael Saylor on his yacht, and my gold wallet fell off the boat, and I lost, I lost everything in a boating accident." And that's kind of just what you tell people, and it's become a little bit of a meme, but at the same time, it's just like
I mean,
proof
I
that
wouldn't
I
even tell
still own
people
it.
that. I would just tell them, right,
I,
suck my dick,
you know what?
bozo.
No, you
You're
know
not
what you
getting
tell
it.
them. Here's what you tell them. Here's what you
You
tell
tell them,
them. You
suck
don't.
my dick, bozo.
No, you don't tell them that. You can tell them that, but a better move is to just be like, "What's a Biddlecoin?" Well, I don't know what that is. Biddlecoin? What are you talking about, Biddle? You just pretend you don't know what that is. You go, "What is that shit? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is." So then that's it. You just pretend like you have no idea, or you say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I think you have me confused with another individual," and then that's it. And you walk away.
You want to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible.
We're both as we said earlier, we're both very bullish on crypto. We like the space. Any financial advisor telling you that you should, and again, this is just for entertainment purposes, of course.
It's revolutionary. It's revolutionary.
The
Every other
technology,
currency,
the
right?
technology is very disruptive. Um, Early on, I can say this, that both myself and God, we were very critical of Bitcoin in its early stages. It didn't look like there was much use, but we did see the potential there. But at that time, we kind of just saw, at least that run in 2017, we kind of saw it as a pump and dump. And it certainly looked to be true at that point in time. There wasn't any mainstream adoption. It just looked like it was people just buying in based off of FOMO. But now you're talking about situations where there's real world applicability with crypto. We're seeing it in Ukraine. We're seeing it with Russia. Russia is supposedly um, using Bitcoin and other crypto to bypass sanctions, and we're seeing massive amounts of donations to Ukraine. I believe they've raised
I think
almost
that's fake
50.
news. I don't think that's possible, but that's another
What?
another
Russia,
story.
Russia.
The Russian economy is way too big to use Bitcoin as their
That might
currency.
just be a narrative to ban it. Yeah, you're right. That's something to think about. That's some food for thought. But we do know this. This has been confirmed. The Ukrainian government has received over $50 million in Bitcoin donations. So people are now seeing how unbelievable and transformative this technology is. And I mean, you're literally
Well, I've
talking
been
about a
saying this for years
situation.
now. I've been saying this for years. Get Bitcoin into the citizens of North Korea. I've been saying this but for a different country.
Yeah,
Saying it for years.
yeah. I mean, this
Now they're getting it into the hands of the Ukrainians.
like we said, the technology is innovative. It's so transformative, and it's something that we definitely need to tout, and we need to use it as much as we can, and it needs to be a viable option for legal tender. Now we're also seeing that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this, Wyoming.
You control the currency, you control your freedom.
Yeah, yeah, and we love how it's deflationary. It encourages people to save, kind of gear more towards conscious capitalism, not just excessively wasting money. You know, helping people take back. excuse me, helping people take back their financial freedom, helping people reach their financial goals, and that's what is the most important thing out here.
Well, look at that. Look at every other currency has been inflationary. You had you at the earliest stages you had people using rocks as currency,
Yep,
and
you
they
had
would
people
shape it
using
a certain way.
seashells. Seashells is a
You had
big
people
one.
using seashells, right? That's plentiful.
Spices and dyes and stuff like that. I think the
Spices, and they
Phoenicians
went
used
to like silver, gold, bronze.
the
Uh,
Phoenicians used dye, right?
yeah, dye on their
Mhm.
ships. Then they went to then you had people using paper currency. Then even in the 1930s, right, you had people using script, which that's a whole bunch of baloney. You had mining companies basically controlling the currency of their workers. So basically, they would pay their workers in something called script, and then they would be like these little mining towns. So the money would only be able to be used in the mining towns, and the company would own all the shops in the mining towns. So they would pay him script, and then the employees would buy stuff in the mining towns. So basically, they owned the employer owned the currency, and they own the stores, so they can control the inflation rate, and thus control how much real wages they were paying their employees. Needless to say, this was outlawed in I think that the late 30s they got rid of that because basically the employers were taking advantage of the employees. They're working for pennies on the dollars. But basically, if you look at the U.S. Dollar, basically that's legalized script on a nationalized scale, where the government's controlling your wealth and basically inflating away your money, and all the stores and everything like that in the U.S. economy, they're just inflating away your wealth, just like the mining companies. This
And
is a
that's
legalized right thievery going on in the world today, and people are just accepting it.
passively accepting it too. If you look at inflation relative to wage growth within the last 40 years, we've seen that wage growth has not paced inflation. We're seeing inflation has a runaway. And we're also seeing inflation at such an unbelievable rate. Like, I mean, it's just, it's getting to the point where it's getting out of hand. So much so that you even see prominent figures like Charlie Munger has come out. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened there, God, but something happened.
what
Sounds like
happened?
you had a tumble or something. I don't know. There was some weird static.
what? What?
You better check yourself before you wreck yourself, motherfucker. But anyway, my main point is that I'll tell you this though, which was very interesting. Um, we saw that even prominent figures were warning about inflation, so much so that Charlie Munger came out. I don't know. Did you see this in the headlines? This was big time. Charlie Munger came out and he said that he predicts the US dollar's value within, what is it, the next 100 years or so will be 0%. It will have no value. He's predicting a
Yeah, that makes
fully
sense.
collapsed
Or you
dollar
inflate away your
within
money
the
probably
last
every
within the
25
next
years.
100 years. How unbelievable is that? And this guy's a fucking fossil saying this, and yet he's still sitting here criticizing crypto. Him and his buddy Warren Buffett, they're calling it rat poison. You know why? Because they're too fucking old to understand it. I
Well,
like Warren
I don't
Buffett.
know. I think
I like
they're
Munger.
they're um they're objective, right? They've been done doing this throughout their whole career. They talk down their investments
Of
so that they
course.
can buy it and accumulate more. So if you look at what he's saying, oh, it's rat poison, it's this and that. But then
Yep.
he's buying into a
A bank. That's
cryptocurrency
right. The crypto
neobank
bank.
in Brazil.
Yes, that was
So
big.
basically, actions speak louder than words. So is he really against crypto if he's buying into a crypto neobank?
That's true. Let's read this headline here. I'm looking in Fortune. So here we go.
Share the screen.
I'm
Share
on
the screen,
Fortune right
Mr.
now.
Joe
Here,
Exotic.
this what's up?
Mr. Joe Exotic, you have to share the screen so that we can show the people,
True.
our
Very true.
community.
Well, actually, I'll let you pull that up. So I'll just read the headline here, and then you could pull up the story in the meantime. Here we go. This is from February 16th of 2022. Years after calling Bitcoin rat poison, Warren Buffett just invested $1 billion in a crypto friendly bank. How interesting. Here's another thing, too. Warren Buffett, February 15, 2022. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway bought $1 billion of Activision stock just weeks before Microsoft's surprise acquisition. Isn't that interesting timing? Very interesting. They bought shares of Activision just weeks prior to Microsoft buying them out. Isn't that interesting? For the longest time, Buffett has touted the fact that he has not owned shares within Microsoft because of his connections with Bill Gates and their close friendship. He
Well, he
was
made a
very,
very smart move,
he was
actually
very,
selling off PC and Mastercard.
he was, oh,
Those
absolutely.
companies, they're done. They're $300 billion companies that they're gonna
The,
compress,
oh,
to
absolutely.
levels we never seen before.
Another thing
You
too
can't
with
be charging
crypto,
people 3% of a transaction
another
and
thing
getting away
too,
with it. PayPal's going to get screwed. Mastercard's going to get screwed. Amex, all these payment processors are going to get screwed. You shouldn't be able to charge some. If someone buys something for $1,000, you shouldn't be able to charge them $30 for the transaction. It should cost pennies, and that's what you get with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin and the Lightning Network, etc. With Jack Dorsey's what he's doing with
absolutely.
Cash App.
Yeah. Yeah. And what they're doing is they're democratizing finance. Um, like I said, they're incentivizing people to save, which is an inherently good thing. And you don't want excess consumption. You don't want gluttony. Nobody really benefits from that. And this is someone who is speaking from the perspective of being invested in a lot of companies that are driven by like excess consumerism. As an owner of as a shareholder of like a lot of these companies, I mean,